This is a Clearview podcast.
Welcome back to Carpe Manana, the show where we talk about how to capture tomorrow today. We're so excited to be with you guys today. We've got a lot planned for you, so we're going to jump into our introductions so you know who your hosts are.
I'm Dr. Abidhan Shah. And we have Nicole with us today.
We did not know
A brand
how to
new
introduce the guest after she's been on the show for 10 times, Rebecca.
I wasn't
10
sure what to
stinking
do. I saw her sitting there. She's been on the show before. I kind of figured.
You're just, I guess, a series
Naturally.
regular at this point. Nicole Shah,
honorary
welcome.
series regular.
Hey.
Welcome,
Thank
Nicole. We're glad that you're here today.
Thank you.
Who you?
My name is Rebecca Shaw.
I'm John Galantis.
I'm David Williamson.
Kelsey McKeel.
And I am Ryan Hill. And guys, we are excited to be with you guys today. We are excited to have Dr. Shah and Nicole back with us today. Those of you who have been watching the show, there haven't been any interruptions for you, but we've missed them over the course of the past few weeks because they have been traveling. And that's actually what we want to talk about today. You guys had a trip recently.
That's right.
Don't
we
look at my
were
shirt.
all the way in Egypt. Yes, turn the camera towards that shirt.
Don't
Spoiler
alert.
alert.
I was trying to say don't spoil the episode.
Don't spill the episode.
Don't spill the episode.
Steven.
On Egypt.
Egypt.
Nicole and I
Very
were,
nice.
as you know, in Egypt for the past 2 weeks. It was a trip of a lifetime, something that we had been planning and praying about for years, but it was never the right time. We never felt right about going there because so much turmoil was going on, so many things we felt like we need to do first. But I would say about a year ago, I told Nicole, I said, I think it's time for us to go to Egypt because there's so many things that are this huge chunk that is missing in our understanding of biblical history. There's a huge gap that is there in our understanding of world history. And unless we go to Egypt, we've gone to Israel a bunch of times. We've gone to Greece. We've gone to India and other places. But Egypt is the huge missing link.
Yeah.
And we have to go do that. And what was your response?
I told him several times on the plane, I was like, I think I'm probably going to have to get you to pinch me several times for me to realize, wait a minute, I'm really here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really here.
When we were watching some of the videos earlier, I kind of had that reaction too, where you see these images all the time,
Yeah.
like in comic books or
Yeah.
TV or movies, like you see it, but then to actually see it on the video, there's still for me a disconnect because it's like that's not a recreation.
Yeah.
That's not like an artist's rendition or like memories. That's it right
Yeah,
there. You're looking
it's
right
almost
at it.
like when you see it and you look at it, you think, how did my friends get on a movie set like that?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it looks like this is a movie set, and then it's like, wait, but I know those people. This doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of launches me into the videos that we're going to watch today as we talk about this. Is when I think it was on our second or third day. So this is not our beginning. We're kind of jumping ahead. The day we went to the Sphinx early in the morning. Actually, we went to the Great Pyramid early in the morning, right?
Yes.
What time was it? You have to get up.
3 a.m.
3 a.m. God.
Wow.
We had to get up
I
at
must be
3
lonely.
to get ready, to go eat breakfast at 4, to leave the hotel at 4:30, to get to the pyramid, the Grand Pyramid at Giza, the big one, the huge one, by 5 o'clock. Right?
Yeah.
At 5 o'clock, we had to be there. And why 5? Because we wanted to go ahead and go there before the visitors get there. But not there. Visitors get to this place, which is the Sphinx.
Wow.
Wow.
As you see
Look
the
at
video.
that. Look at that.
Right?
is
Now,
really
I'm going to pause
cool.
that right there for a second. But, we wanted to go here before the visitors get there. And to get here, we had to be there by at least by 8 o'clock. Because 9 o'clock is when they open the doors
Right.
for other people
Right.
to come. And they cannot get this close. They cannot get that close to the
No.
Sphinx. Okay, so that's it may look like, oh yeah, that's great. Everybody gets to stand like where we did. That's not true.
Wow.
Not true.
That's
So,
insane.
In order to get to the Sphinx by 8 o'clock, right? Or was it 7?
I want to say we were there by
Oh,
6
7.
o'clock. We were there by 6.
Yeah, by 6. That's right.
We were there by 6 o'clock.
So
Because
we had to be
chairs. There was chairs set out.
right.
Wow.
It's so bright.
They had like
right,
some-
right
Yeah.
there, almost right between. It was right before you get to the paws of
That's
the
right.
Sphinx. There was chairs set out, and we sat facing the Sphinx
Wow.
Man.
and
And-
listened to.
Dr. Zahi Hawass, who's well-known Egyptologist, and so we were there. But in order to be at the Sphinx by 6, we had to be in the Grand Pyramids by 5
Holy
because we were
cow.
going inside the pyramids. And so it was early in the morning.
Wow.
Wow.
It was early. It was
What
crazy.
is so what are the pyramids? Like what are they built around, or what do they signify?
They're tombs.
They're just tombs.
Yeah, they're tombs.
For like the pharaohs and the
Right.
kings and stuff.
Right. So the pyramids are actually going back post-flood. And how do we know that it was post-flood and not pre-flood? Because there are fossils all around. It's sedimentary rock. So when you walk around, you can actually see.
Yep.
I showed Nicole. We did a quick video there of you can see seashells on the ground
Fossils of seashells.
in the rocks.
Oh, wow.
So if that is what you see, it has to be after the flood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It cannot
I know
be
you're at the
pre-flood.
Sphinx. What were they for?
A lot of theories. Who is that person? Who is that image? That if you see this video right here, I'm going to go right to that one next. Who was this person? Some people believe that this was actually Khafre. Khafre was the second. Was the one who built the second pyramid. There was Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. So they believe that was Khafre. I have a different theory. I don't believe that was Khafre. I believe that was Queen Hatshepsut. Okay, I believe that was Queen Hatshepsut because everywhere else you find the Sphinx, it is the Queen Hatshepsut. So why in the world would this be Khafre?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
the pyramids were there before, and then I believe somebody built the Sphinx there, almost like she's guarding all the ancient traditions.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
That
really
makes
cool.
I've heard that when they want to disrespect somebody, they knock the nose off.
And they did. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Why would they do that to Khafre? There's no reason. Queen Hatshepsut. We'll
There's
talk
no
about that
reason.
later.
Yeah. I was about to ask you to
So-
get into the details of that, but if that's coming, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Save
what's
it.
the reason behind it being like the almost like a lion cat figure? Like I know the head is obviously the queen, but what's the body? What's that supposed to be?
I mean, it's power. I mean, you're powerful.
Yeah.
You're like a lion.
Mm.
You're the king. So that's what it represents:
Got you.
power, authority.
And those of you who are listening, you're hearing us reference videos a lot. We want to encourage you guys, those who are listening, this is a bonus episode for those who are already
Yeah.
subscribed to our podcast because we're sharing a lot of videos. Dr. Shah and Nicole have brought back tons of wonderful footage, and those of you who are watching are seeing all of that. But if you're listening to this on the radio, you're listening to the audio podcast, really want to encourage you guys to go check out the video. Please, please, please go. All these videos will be available. You can watch the videos while we're talking about them. You can find that video podcast on YouTube, on Facebook, a lot of places where you can go, and you'll actually be able to see that footage as we're discussing it.
We've
So if
been
you're
doing
not
the
already-
video episodes ever since episode 101, but now if you haven't got on the bandwagon now
Now's
or
the
yet,
time.
yeah, now is the time.
Especially this
Yes.
particular episode because there's so many videos.
Yeah.
And this is just, I mean, I can talk about the Sphinx and Nicole can, anything. I do need to mention this and then let Nicole talk about it. What was your reaction when you saw it as we got off the bus and we were walking towards the Sphinx?
I remember we were driving up to, and I just kind of, I patted his knee and I was like, I squeezed it and I was like, I cannot believe we're here.
And as we're walking up, I think she's forgotten. She started laughing, and I was like, I cannot believe this. And it went from being like completely quiet because we just came out of the big pyramid. We had to climb in there and climb out, so we're kind of tired. And we got on the bus, got all our equipment ready, and as we're walking there, and she saw it. Remember that? Walking
I
down
do
the
remember
steps.
that now. I was like laughing because I could not believe.
Yeah, it was a laughter of like
Shock.
shock, unbelief.
Wow.
Was it like uncomfortable laughter, or were you like cracking up?
No, it was like the laughter of like unbelief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't real.
Think about it. Napoleon, when he came by here, 1700s, right? He told his soldiers as they were standing in front of the Sphinx, he said, guys, you're standing under, beneath the eyes, something like that have looked down for 40 centuries. Because, he was not just some despot. He was
Yeah.
a philosopher,
Oh yeah.
ruler.
Oh yeah.
So check that out.
Wow,
That
look
is
at that.
incredible.
What is
Like
that?
those hieroglyphics.
What is that rock structure in front of the Sphinx?
Okay, so that actually is what's known as the dream stela. Dream stela is something that, okay, this right here is what you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
It was built by Thutmose III. Okay, keep that in mind. Thutmose III is the one who was the little boy who was raised to replace a vacuum that happened because somebody left. You know, if you want to know more about that, come see us Sunday.
Yeah, this coming Sunday.
Queen Hatshepsut had raised Moses to be the pharaoh. Okay, he realized he had to help God's people, but things went downhill. He fled, and Thutmose III was being raised at that point. He was just a little boy, and he was not even quite royalty, was he, Nicole?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So he had a dream. All right. He had a dream that he was the next who has been authorized by the gods to be the pharaoh. So he put that right under there.
Wow.
Wow.
You know what he was doing? He was trying to find a way to legitimize his rule
Yeah.
because he was not the legitimate ruler.
Yeah.
Who was? I mean, the guy who was raised.
Yeah.
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 And that was Moses. So anyways, that's the dream stela.
So
Wow.
Wow.
that's his I guess proclamation or his like divine. This is my divine golden tablet sort of thing.
Right.
But it's a farce. It's not real.
Well,
It's
I mean,
just-
now that is real. The
Right.
dream still is real. Whether the dream was real or not, who knows?
that's what. I mean. But
Yeah.
that's his
Yeah.
proclamation. Like, hey guys, this is what gives me the right to rule. This is
Right.
what the
I've had a
gods,
dream,
God, or the
revelation.
gods said.
Can
to
you
me.
sense the desperation?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, it kind of seems desperate, like to put it in front of this huge, like monumental, like iconic thing. So
Under
it's like
Queen
It's like
Hatshepsut.
freshly,
It's like,
freshly
hey,
built too.
I
I
just
just
want
want
you
you
to be
guys
like,
to
see,
see-
I'm in
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah. Oh, by the way.
Yeah. So that's the dream stela of Thutmose III.
Wow. Wow.
Now, all the sphinxes, they didn't all have something like this in front of it. No.
This is the biggest Sphinx,
Hmm.
right? We
Yeah.
saw some other ones as well.
Yeah.
That sounds
We
a little
saw-
desperate too.
I know.
We
Where's
saw
the big one?
in the. I can't remember
In
what
Luxor.
it was. Luxor. It was the avenue,
Avenue, that's right.
the avenue of the sphinxes, and
No, that was that was at Luxor. You're right. In Memphis, we saw it. We walked around it, and you filmed where we had
Okay.
the Ramesses the Great.
that's right.
on
I
the
do
ground.
remember that one too.
Mhm.
I remember that one too.
So that was that. This is just a distance shot. You see that bird?
Mhm.
So that's
Wow.
live.
what's the work being done on the side? Is that anything?
Time to time, they have to repair.
Yeah.
Mm.
But if you notice, the head of the Sphinx is pretty intact, other than what somebody tried to break down the
Mhm.
Yeah.
nose. The rest is, is kind of tearing apart
Yeah.
because the head is made out of a very special granite.
Mm.
The
Wow.
body was made out of kind of like a limestone, right?
I think it was limestone. Yeah.
Right. So it kind of did not do well with the erosion.
Wow.
Mm.
But the
Wow.
head is intact,
Yeah.
other than what
Yeah.
people try to do to the
Wow.
nose.
It's crazy to me they
That's
already
crazy.
knew what would last.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why they stopped at the nose. Like, why not? Like, did they just get caught and someone stopped them in
No,
time? Or?
nose breaking we saw often.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
really?
I don't understand that whole thing other than the fact that they wanted to deface someone who, especially in her case, who they felt
They didn't like her.
they didn't like her for for whatever reason,
Right.
and
So-
it could be any reason why and then they will deface or they will try to erase that particular
kind of
person
like-
from history.
Like,
It's like drawing a mustache almost.
yeah, like
Yeah.
drawing a mustache
I guess
on
it wasn't
somebody
really, like-
or
Let's
Something
do
like that.
away with it
Like
as much as just
graffiti.
let's dishonor it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, more
To dishonor somebody, you had to break the nose.
Okay.
And you see that in Greece. We saw a lot in Greece. So you can see that in Israel. Where
I
they
mean, it's
would-
right in the middle of their face, so I guess that's kind of like
Yeah.
you can't really unsee.
I had
that.
always noticed that a lot of those statues were missing noses, but I always thought it was just over the years, like it just wear and tear. But
Yeah, I assume the same thing. It sticks off the face. I just kind of assumed that's the pointy
No, no,
part.
no,
It goes
no.
first.
It's almost
but-
it's like almost even in your memory. I want to show people that I can break your nose.
And it's tragic because, you could have broken the chin. It still would look okay. But nose quickly defaces you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
So that was quite a trip. And here you kind of see, how now you can see how she is sitting. I would say that's Hatshepsut. guarding the pyramids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
It
guarding.
does definitely seem to be like I'm the protector of what's behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's true.
Because the third pyramid is on this side.
Huh.
You don't see it in the
Mhm.
shot.
I guess as people were coming in to battle the Egyptians, you see that and you're like, if
Wow.
they can build that,
Yeah, I might
I don't know
want
that I
that.
really want to fight them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So next you see here is this pyramid.
Oh my word!
That's amazing.
It's
That's an
massive.
incredible shot.
Now look right here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see? That's two men on horses.
Wow.
That gives
Oh
you
wow.
Yeah.
that gives
The
you
scale.
Yeah.
the
Good
scale
grief.
of how big that pyramid truly is.
No, you were telling us about kind of how at the bottom, how it looks like it looks different at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can you
Like the top
explain?
point.
Now you see on the top where it looks like there's some plaster on top.
Mhm.
That's not plaster. That's actually the granite. What you see there, let me put brakes on this thing, is not what the ancients would have seen. The pyramid was smooth. The pyramid was shiny. The pyramids were white.
Wow.
Oh,
They look like completely what you see on the top, what's left of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So imagine these perfect pyramids sitting in the desert, shining brightly.
Yeah.
wow!
Yeah.
Smooth as, I mean, even that is rough.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nicole and I touched some of the granite that they had smooth properly and that was still left. How smooth?
Oh my goodness!
Like a kitchen
oh my
counter.
goodness! It was like like
Wow. Oh yeah.
a
Like
kitchen
granite
a
countertops,
granite
but
kitchen counter.
Wow.
Wow!
Wow.
The entire pyramid looked like that.
They must have been impossible to look at in that summer sun.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So from miles and miles, you could see those things shining.
Wow.
were
That's
all the pyramids
insane.
done that way, or just those three?
All of them.
Wow.
So what you're seeing, what we see and go, wow, look at those pyramids. We're actually looking at what has been gutted out.
Yeah.
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 So what
And-
happened to it?
They took them down. People stole the slabs.
Wow.
Imagine going up that high, stealing the slabs.
I don't know how they did it. It's,
And how do you think, and why do you think that top is left? Because it was too dangerous. So
I was going to say,
Yeah.
yeah. It probably wasn't worth it to
I don't
get
know how
up
they got
Yeah.
that high.
I know.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's true. That's
Thank you,
true.
Rebecca, because that's what I was saying when the guy was explaining that this, because on the ground you see a few slabs left.
Mhm.
Because what did they do with them? They took them. They took them to build their palaces through the century. Keep in mind, what you're looking at right there is 4,300 years old,
Wow.
right?
Mm-hmm.
This is post-flood, 4,300 years old. So at least for 3,000 years, people have been stealing it
Mm.
That's incredible.
and taking those slabs of granite to make other things.
There's almost some sort of distance. Like you distance yourself where like the older it is, you just can't, like at a certain point my mind stops comparing, you know,
Yeah.
because how can I compare?
Yeah.
I start to think, okay, so this was here by the time my father was born, then his father,
Yeah.
his father. But at a certain
Yeah.
point, it's
Oh,
just like
yeah, that's
my
way
mind
too
can't,
far.
my mind can't grasp how old these things actually
Think
are.
about you think about your lifespan in terms of like that lifespan of that structure. You're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what in the world?
We may be wrong, but those pyramids were standing when Abraham came to Egypt or right after Abraham came to Egypt.
Wow.
That's
Some people believe, and they may be right or they may be wrong, like Josephus.
Mhm.
Josephus says that Abraham was from Babylon,
Mhm.
where they built pyramids, okay? Where they built these pillars and towers going up into the heavens.
Mhm.
So when he came to Egypt, he brought that technology with him, and they learned it from him. This is what Josephus, about 2,000 years ago, said.
Mhm.
Was Josephus right? Who knows?
Yeah.
We don't have any proof for that.
I read that actually in an article, and I was like, maybe
Maybe.
not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, let's just say that's not true. Maybe they already knew that. Either way, either before Abraham or right after Abraham, those things were
were there.
built.
That's
Mhm.
insane.
So amazing, what you see right there. So kind of moving along.
That's a fantastic shot. Look at
That's
that.
so cool.
Yeah, we had just been to some of these pyramids.
How hot was it?
Wasn't too bad there.
It wasn't too bad. It was hot in the pyramids. It wasn't hot outside.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a money shot.
Now, in some places, we had access to go inside the
Mhm.
pyramid, special access, and something that the average crowd doesn't get to go.
Yeah.
That's
Are
amazing.
all
That's
the
awesome.
pyramids, are you able to enter all of them, or are there some that people just can't get into?
Now that's Menkare's pyramid. We didn't get into that one.
Really?
Like, can you physically not?
No, it's dangerous.
Mm.
Now maybe some people do, but they probably were authorized to
Yeah.
do with certain restrictions.
Are they pyramids that are like they're closed down to just tourists, but archaeologists can still go in there, or is it just it's not safe for anybody? Nobody's going in there.
That probably the one that you saw from Menkare's pyramid. I don't think anybody goes in there right now,
Wow.
unless some go in for studying purposes.
Yeah.
And and I can talk on and on about it. What do you think, Nicole, on the Menkare's pyramid, the last one that we just looked at? Remember this one? This one right here.
What were you talking about exactly?
Remember we stood.
We stood there, but yeah, that was too dangerous to go into.
What's that hole?
That's where you would actually go in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
So you go
Halfway
and
up
enter.
like that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But
Oh,
but keep
wow.
in mind that hole was probably dug by thieves, right?
Probably.
By
Yeah.
thieves.
Holy
Because when
cow.
they- when
Those
they
are some
would go
high-profile
in-
thieves.
Yeah.
When they finally,
They
when,
left the calling card.
when archaeologists would go into these
Yep.
tombs or pyramids, they would find things, but already things had been stolen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
So, they didn't find everything intact.
So this might be a silly question.
Yes.
But you see in the movies and stuff, like when they go into the pyramids, are there actually any booby traps at all that they had to disable?
Pressure plates and poison darts.
Anything?
Anything.
That's a
Snakes.
great
A
question.
big rolling ball that comes down the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that's South America, though.
Oh, you're
I
right.
was
my
going to
bad,
say
my
that is
bad, my bad.
not at all Egypt.
By the way, I've been on the South American pyramids, stood on them, and Rebecca has too. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. But here, I'm not aware of any kind of booby traps or anything like that. But what I am aware and what we learned is that they did everything they could to make sure nobody could get back into those tombs.
They made it almost impossible.
Impossible.
Wow.
Another thing about these pyramids is we don't know what tools they used because they did not leave any tools behind.
Wow.
We do not understand still what was the technology. How did they build these pyramids? Did they build a ramp? Did they have some kind of did they build from the inside up? I mean, of course, we can't start from the top down, right? I mean, that would be impossible. So how did they go from the inside, from the outside? I mean, how did they do it? We still to this day do not understand.
Wow.
And here's why. They didn't want us to understand. They wanted us to be amazed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was wondering, because even in the ancient world, these were already like wonders.
Yeah.
These were
Yeah.
like that was one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world,
Right.
or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
They wanted us to be amazed. And, in the Bible, it talks about this because when it talks about the Tower of Babel, if you notice what it says about them, if anybody can quickly find that scripture
I got it.
about Tower of Babel, it says that they were trying to make a name for themselves. That's what
Genesis 11, right?
they were, right.
Okay.
Here, they were trying to make a name for themselves.
I mean, they were successful.
They were successful because after 4,000 years,
It's still standing.
it's still standing. Albeit it's been gutted out. It's been.
I got it.
Okay, you find the passage?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, what does it say?
Now the whole earth had one language and one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Then they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They had brick from stone and asphalt from mortar, and they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad the earth. Oh, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth."
So they were making a name for themselves.
Yeah.
So there's like we were talking about the Tower of Babel,
Mhm.
and so there's pyramids in other parts of the world. Are those connected at all?
I believe they are.
Like the Mayan
Absolutely.
pyramids that
Absolutely.
we saw, they're not. I mean, they're not as big,
Right.
and they're actually covered by more vegetation.
Right.
But once
I
they
mean,
scattered across the earth, they took those.
To that
The same
building
idea,
concept.
that's
Principle,
right.
the
Yeah.
same idea they take with them.
Same
That makes
Wow.
sense.
Yeah.
They were trying to make a name for themselves.
Mm.
We tend to think of them as being stupid. Like, oh, they're trying to get to heaven. They're trying to get... No, they were not. They were trying to show posterity or even people around them, this is how powerful we are.
That's right.
This is I hate to say it, as much as I admire all this was a shaking of your fist towards heaven.
Mm-hmm.
You are not the only one who does great things. We do too.
Wow.
That's what it is. So I love the pyramid. I love everything, but at the heart of it is a very, very evil, self-confident, proud, arrogant heart.
Wow.
And they accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did it. I mean, to this day, scientists, architects, engineers, you name it, they still cannot figure out how did they do this.
Well,
How
if
do
anything,
you-
Isn't that still a nod to God at the same time? Like he
Not
gave,
in their hearts.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he gave them that brain to be able to do that, but in their hearts, that's not.
To me, how do you drag a 75-ton block up this thing?
Yeah.
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 I'd be afraid of the first inch. I'll drop it on my foot and be crushed.
Yeah.
Right.
Life.
Much
Right.
less once we get up to the apex. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
how do you do that?
And according to the guides and everything, the king was the final one who put the apex.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
the pharaoh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it had to
Maybe
be
that
safe
is.
enough that they trusted the fact that.
How did he
could
get
go
up there? I don't know, but somehow.
And you said it was smooth, so they can't just walk.
Perfectly smooth.
Huh.
So maybe it was not smooth until the end.
Yeah.
So they were able
So
to
they could
walk
get
all the way
there.
up there and do
They could have sanded the entire thing.
They had to
Oh
sand
my
the whole
goodness.
Wow.
So imagine
Yeah.
having to put all these blocks up. I think this whole episode is on pyramids.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
They had to put all these blocks up, everything, and then put these slabs, right, Nicole? And then sand them down.
Yeah, that's insane.
That makes sense.
And
Yeah.
Unreal.
and there was one place that we went, and they got you to take the granite
Yeah.
or whatever it was and try to polish the rock to see if
With
you
the
could-
rock.
with a rock, and they said this is what they used, and we're like, really? It would take, I forget the amount of time it was going to take to go a fourth of an inch or something like that. It was
Yep.
it was a lot of time.
I believe they had technology, they had understanding that has been lost,
Yeah.
and they wanted it to be lost. They wanted us to go, how? And for them to sit there and go,
That's crazy. That's crazy. Think about how, like, because we always think about, like, when you make great leaps in technology for the good of mankind, you want it to spread, you want it to live on after you. But they're
No,
like,
no, no.
this is mine.
This
we
is
want
dying
you to
with us.
admire.
That's-
And we want you to wonder and wonder and wonder.
That is
So
crazy.
did
Wow.
so in that did God ever put them in their place?
I mean, they're
They're
gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are thousands and thousands of languages today
Yeah.
Mm.
because of that.
You know, and it's as much as I loved it. And let's talk about some other things here. It is really man. This is humanism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
humanism. Not this. This is the Cairo. It's a market in Cairo.
Yeah,
Look at all that. This is, by the way, how old is this market, Nicole? About 1,000 years old.
at least.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what they were telling us. At least 1,000 years
Wow.
old.
That's crazy.
So we're walking through. Look at that. They're constantly selling to you. I mean, they're like
Wow.
Look at this. Buy this. Check out this.
Yeah.
That's the guide.
One of the guys, great guy.
Yeah,
I give
he's
him a
really
good
nice.
tip on the way out. He was always so nice. Always there to help Nicole. Always
Yeah.
there to help me.
How much schooling do they have to do?
How much schooling? I don't know.
I
I
can
know the
imagine
main
a lot.
guy had a bachelor's degree,
Yeah.
and he had worked with some archaeologists for at least 15 years.
Wow, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane. I remember when we went to Israel, just seeing those narrow market streets, just super.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
always think it's like the angle of the camera, or you think it, but you don't
But
really
it's
realize
really
that they're really those
they are
narrow
narrow.
streets. Yeah.
So where are we here, Nicole?
We're at
The church
the
of
church.
the hanging church.
The what?
The hanging church.
I forgot that was what
Yeah.
it was called.
Yeah. And it's probably the oldest church in Cairo.
Wow.
Wow.
In Egypt, probably.
It's a Christian church.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Evidenced by all the crosses. I could have just surmised
Yeah.
that.
I would say.
How did they there? Are they persecuted at all?
When the Muslim Brotherhood took charge in Egypt, after the revolution, it was kind of a coup. How they took over from the revolution.
Mm-hmm.
They became in charge, and Christian and churches were attacked, destroyed, bombed. Christians were executed.
Mm.
It's terrible. But then Sisi is back in power. He is in power now, Many of these churches were repaired. This one was actually being repaired as we
Yeah.
were there.
Wow.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Money was given to rebuild them. So I was very happy to see that.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying for a moment that Christians are doing great and no worries, because I don't know. But at least I saw that church being repaired while we were there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal.
Oh,
That is
That was
a big deal.
Money
That's
was
awesome.
given towards that. Where are we, Nicole?
Wait a minute. Let me see.
That's pretty.
Karnak.
Karnak. That's right, because of the obelisk. I was trying
Yeah.
to get my bear.
Whose obelisk is it, Nicole?
That one?
Yep. Queen.
That's not. I thought hers was covered up.
Both of them
Okay.
belong to her.
That's true. That was Queen Hatshepsut's
Mhm.
obelisk.
Which is, if you know in the Bible, that is Pharaoh's daughter.
Now, what is an
Yeah.
obelisk?
Obelisk is, I'm going to go back over here. What you see here, there in the middle,
There.
right there.
Yeah.
Like what's
The
It's
pointy
a
tower.
gigantic
Giant
It
tower.
kind of looks like Washington's monument.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Washington
that's an
Monument
obelisk.
is an obelisk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
like a tall, skinny
Yes,
tower.
tower.
Okay. Can
Here's
you
the
go
key.
inside?
Here's the thing. You cannot know. It's one solid block of granite.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's not like bricks.
It's not
No.
bricks.
No.
Wow.
One solid block of granite. Here's the question. That's not where it was found. That's not where it was built. We went to the quarry.
Yeah.
And the quarry is hundreds of miles away.
Uh-huh.
How in the world did they
How
get
did
it
they
there?
get it from there to there?
Here's a bigger question. How did they get it to stand up straight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
good grief.
Because it was erected there in ancient times, right? It wasn't.
Yeah,
erected.
this is
Yeah.
this is 3,600 years old.
That it's in that spot.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how they do.
I-
Yeah.
Has
And-
Egypt had earthquakes?
Yeah.
They have.
And those stood.
They have stood.
Wow.
I think some may have fallen here and there, but there were many, many, many obelisks, and many of them are standing in other parts of the world today, primarily Europe, in places like France,
Yes.
Italy, England, Germany. Guess which country has the most obelisks from Egypt? Obelisks.
France.
No.
No, it's not France.
Is it us?
No,
The US?
it's definitely not us.
Italy.
Italy?
Italy.
Why Italy? Because Rome
Oh,
was in
it's 'cause of
power.
Rome. Yeah.
So when Rome was in power, they took all the obelisks with them.
Wow.
Huh.
There's 13, I
Right,
believe,
13
in
in
Rome.
Italy.
Just in Rome.
Do we know
itself.
how they got
Egyptian
those out of there?
obelisks.
Egyptian.
Well, they brought it down somehow, and they floated across the river or the sea, whatever, and took them back with them.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
America has one,
Yeah. Where is it?
and we have it at the Metropolitan Museum.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's very cool.
So
Wow.
that's like somewhere we're talking about 1881. We got ours.
Wow.
Huh.
So there's stories all over those walls.
Yeah.
These are pillars.
Oh, are there? So they're like
Yeah,
stories.
stories.
That's cool.
Chants, you
Mm.
name it,
Gosh.
information, everything is there.
That's very
That's incredible. That's the
This-
obelisk.
Is
That
the
is-
obelisk of
Oh,
Hatshepsut.
wow.
One stone.
Wow.
One
That's-
complete
that's amazing.
stone.
Oh.
Now, if you see here, you see this wall. They tried to cover it up.
The obelisk.
Yeah.
They built a wall around it, and I think because of one of the earthquakes, some of it fell. Some of the wall fell,
And,
and they thought they were trying to cover it up to get rid of it, but they actually protected it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of worked against them there.
Well,
Oops.
So funny.
And I believe they were.
Look at that. Oh
all
my
this-
gosh.
Insane.
That's incredible.
One solid stone
And it was transported from over 100 miles away.
over.
And stood upright.
Wow.
Right. And lasted for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So when Italy took theirs, were they able to stand theirs upright?
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of figured that out.
Somehow,
Yeah.
the Romans figured it out. But we had more trouble in the past 300 years trying to get these obelisks, whether Napoleon tried to take it or the British or the Americans. We had more trouble trying to just lower them down without dropping them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Gosh.
Because when they're standing like this and you try to take it down like this, if it's not going down, you bring it back, but it doesn't come out straight. It goes this way now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
Especially if it's like in the 1800s, you ain't got no helicopters to airlift it down. You're doing everything from the ground.
Yeah.
Oh.
it's
Golly.
and it's one
beautiful.
solid. So Our guide said he loves obelisks more than pyramids. He said
Yeah.
He said I love these things.
The engravings and everything, like how they even did that.
Yeah.
And it's
So they would-
perfect.
Yeah.
They,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't know if you have any footage of that at the
Right.
quarry,
Not for this show, but I have it other place.
but they literally carve it out of the quarry, and while it's being carved, that's when they're carving the.
No. They carve it out. They bring it to the place.
Okay.
Stand it up. Then they smooth it down. Then they carve it there.
So
It's not carved in the quarry.
It's not carved. So they're having to build a
Like
what
a
is it?
scaffolding.
All the way around it
Oh, wow.
to be able to get up.
Wow.
And either work their way up or work their. I don't know which direction it goes. I guess it
Right.
goes. Who knows?
Either way, but they won't do that in the quarry because now you have to drag it all across the
All
desert,
across,
the
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the river,
Yeah,
and all
that
this. They don't
makes
want to mess it up.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it would come as a rough stone,
Mhm.
get to the place, and then it would be finished properly.
Wow.
But
How
look at
long
the
would
edges.
something like this take to make?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Like, was it done during the lifetime of the person that it was
Oh, yeah.
erected for?
And there were hundreds of these things. So they're not like one obelisk or 5 or 6 or 10 all over Egypt.
Hmm.
Wow.
When I say all over, I'm talking about Memphis and Thebes
Yeah.
and Luxor. This was sitting there.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So these are just some of the things. Now this right here is the
Oh, wow.
temple of Luxor at night. What was it like?
This was special. This was because of special permission that we got, and when we drove up to the same kind of thing as was at the Sphinx. We drove up, and there were chairs set out in front of
Wow.
of the temple, and it was lit. And as we sat there, they lit it up.
For us.
Gosh, incredible.
It was dark when we got there,
That is
and then they began
gorgeous.
to light it up.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was. I was like,
Oh,
my-
that must have been crazy to see it come to life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Just
What
see
they
the lights
used it
come on.
for?
This was the temple of Luxor, and Ramses the Great is responsible for this. And so Ramses the Great, in my opinion, came somewhere about 1400 BC.
What is going on around that time?
About that time, the children of Israel are driving out the Canaanites from the land. They're in the promised land now. 40 years have passed in the wilderness. They're in the promised land. Maybe a little bit in the time of the judges is going
Okay.
on here.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Samson and Gideon and all of these guys are doing their thing.
Mhm.
So they would have known this was going up.
Whether they knew it or not, we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But this is what was happening. Now, the pharaohs at that time were also attacking Canaan, like you saw that in Armageddon
Yep.
or Harmageddo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these were the pharaohs who were coming there at the time.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Seti.
Same time period.
Yeah, Seti, who was after Ramses the Great, I believe, came into Canaan,
Right.
into what we know as Israel. He would have walked through here.
Okay. So these are like two. I'm trying to picture Megiddo in my head because I remember the time frame for that was really expansive. But about
Yeah.
that time, this is when those pharaohs that came in to try to conquer would have been coming from here.
Yeah.
They would have walked through this
Wow.
temple right
This
here.
time
Wow.
period.
Wow.
So is that the temple right there?
Way into the background.
Yeah.
You have to keep walking through those, between those. Show them, Nicole, where you walk through.
Right through here.
This is sort of like the courtyard of the
Okay.
temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there. It goes through there.
Just keep,
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
you
still
just keep
past that
walking
point.
through
Wow.
there.
There's more there. And so anyways, this is where we kind of stood and took some pictures.
It resembles what's in Greece, doesn't
Mhm.
it?
That's
Yeah.
what I was
Here-
thinking.
A
That
little
columns
bit.
like that.
Same
wait.
thing.
What did you say?
It resembles what's in Greece.
No, Greece resembles this.
Mm.
True.
Other way.
That's
Wow.
the problem. We always give the Greeks the credit for this,
Mhm.
which is
It's actually
okay.
The Egyptians.
It's Egyptians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they would have certainly predated the Greeks.
Yes.
Oh,
Everybody's
This is-
copying them.
Yep.
1400 BC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Battle of Troy is still 200 years away.
Yep.
Oh wow. Yeah, that puts it into perspective. Wow.
Yeah.
Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, right,
Mhm.
is still 200 years away.
Wow.
Wow.
Homer is going to write in 800 BC. 800 BC. So if this is 1400 BC, Homer is still 800 years away.
Mm.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Socrates, Aristotle, Plato came in 500 BC. They're about 900 years away.
See, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
English major over here, and you were talking about Homer, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, okay,
That's
now
incredible.
I get it.
Yeah.
And the temple, Athena and all that stuff, that ground is just sitting there as a big rocky hill.
Wow.
The Acropolis is nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe something is happening in Mycenae, Greece, but nowhere
not-
else.
Yeah.
No,
Nothing like that.
nothing like that. So now this is the fun part. We're going inside. This was just one we just ran into. We're like, we don't have much time. This is in the Valley of the Kings, and I don't even remember which tomb this is.
Yeah, I don't
But I was like,
remember.
Nicole, we don't have much time. Let's just go
Let's
in this
just
one
go.
because there are some that I really wanted to go into.
Now these are they do have these things behind a glass wall. That's why it's so shiny, is because there's the glass on either side.
But then
I
there
saw
are
him
some.
like wrapping like a one of the mummies.
Right.
So they still don't know how they did that, right?
How the
they
mummies
preserved-
mummification happened.
Yeah, I
Right.
like that process.
Do they know?
Some, they understand some. Yeah, they do. They do. Understand
They would take
some.
out the entrails and put them in these
Oh, what were they called? The what?
canopy
jars?
jars.
Canopy jars.
So
I'm so
every
glad
time-
that some of this information stuck
Yeah.
there, because there was so much information thrown at us.
It's like a fire hydrant.
I'm just like,
Yeah, I bet.
Wow.
So when you would find a mummy, you'd find in a sarcophagus, find the mummy, but then you also would find these 4 jars, and the 4 jars would what contain everything inside.
Wow.
but they were mummified as well.
The organs were mummified?
Yes.
Huh.
So guess what we're looking
Speaking
at
of mummies,
here? This
I know
is,
it, but I don't want to say it. I don't want
This
to
is the famous. Go for it, John.
That's King Tut?
It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
I only know it because we talked about it
I
earlier.
mean,
Yeah.
you hear that name, but
yep,
there he is right there.
there he is.
I never thought he was a little kid.
Yeah,
Never
18
thought-
years old.
Maybe
Never thought
18,
that.
19
Wow.
Yeah.
at the most.
Not very
Eh.
big.
No.
No.
Yeah, how big would he have been? I mean, I can't really get a good grasp on it looking at it from the video. It
How
looks small.
big, as in
How-
sense of
like-
tall?
Yeah, like how tall would
How
he have
tall
been?
is that?
I would not put him past 5'6", maybe 5'7".
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Maybe that, maybe shorter. They were not very. It didn't seem that they
Not
were.
No,
very tall.
he was a kid.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a kid.
Right.
Probably wasn't fully grown.
But yeah, that does not
Wow.
mean the other people were not tall.
Yeah.
He just happened to be short.
Huh.
And I believe he is the one who was the casualty of the final plague.
Yeah. When God said that the death angel is gonna come and kill every firstborn, that
Right.
was Pharaoh's
Right.
firstborn.
King Tut was,
Right.
was the firstborn that died.
Because they do say, I mean, even the archaeologists do say that his tomb had to be made in a hurry because they didn't think he was going to die
Wow.
as young.
And they put everything that he belonged to him in it, which really did not happen. Now, Lot was put in along with the pharaohs, things that they wanted them to have in the afterlife. But here it was more very emotional. I mean, right
Yeah.
down to his clothes, to his toys, to every little thing was put in there,
Wow.
which means it was a very, very hard-hitting emotional thing.
Yeah.
And all because his father was a pharaoh
Yeah.
who hardened his heart,
Mm.
Now, there are people who may disagree with this way of thinking, and they may say, no, you got the whole Egyptian pharaonic chronology wrong and all that stuff. Just know that it is highly contested. The exact understanding of how the pharaohs came about, who after who, and how long were their rules and all that stuff. It's highly contested.
Yeah.
So what many people like me believe that this was that firstborn, some people may disagree,
Yeah.
but they don't have an alternative theory. At least we have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know he's in that glass box, but where'd they find him?
They
They-
found him in the tomb.
Yeah, they found him in his tomb, in his sarcophagus. They
Howard
found him.
Carter in the 1930s. That was a big discovery. King Tut's tomb is Tutankhamun.
It's interesting that that's the biggest name that everyone knows. Like when you think about Egypt, you think King Tut, and he is such a big part of the Bible.
Biblical
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Albeit the scholars, some scholars, many scholars, don't acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Is it harder for scholars that study this to be Christians, or is it? I don't know.
It's hard for some of them to admit that the Bible is actually
This
true.
is accurate.
Yeah.
Because what's happening, I feel what's happening, whether it's in archaeology or any of these studies, and even science, I believe that a lot of the discoveries are actually proving the Bible right, and they don't.
I think
Makes
they
them
don't want
uncomfortable
that.
because then what else is right? in the
Yeah, because
Bible?
they don't want to acknowledge all the other stuff that's
Right.
right. So even if
Yeah.
things are historically accurate, we'll either gloss over it or be like, yeah, there's
Yeah.
some,
I would
but we
have
don't
a
know.
It's
And
a
then-
rabbit trail.
because you're a
to go
scholar,
down.
I'm going
Right.
to listen to you. So
Yeah.
That would be hard
yeah.
to ignore all of that.
Yeah, of course it is. But for someone like me, it's not. It's like, okay, that makes sense here to here, here to here. And they say, no. But you're not taking into account da. Oh, yes, I am, because that fits here. Oh, no, you're wrong.
You also have to take into account human nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like, it's not. They weren't just robots. They had emotions. They had.
of course it
Right.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much gold was put in there.
Yeah.
So much gold. You know, the face mask of Tutankhamun, all that. You know, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So much gold.
We saw what was in the tomb and at the Cairo Museum, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
This right here is another. We walked into this one. We actually got special permission to go into the tomb of Amenhotep the second, and
This has not been. I don't think this has been restored.
some of it is still
some-
in the process of being restored.
But these are the original colors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
That's amazing.
This is the original.
And just know, I'm just kind of like randomly walking through and filming
Yeah.
because there's so many rooms.
Yeah.
I
How
can't-
can
I
you?
don't have time.
How can you?
Yeah.
And this is.
wow, look at that.
There's a sarcophagus.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Oh. Have they opened that?
Yeah.
These are original colors.
Wow.
This has not been painted
That's
over.
blowing my
That's
mind. That
incredible.
those are the colors that were painted.
Yeah.
Did
So
y'all- did
many
y'all
years
see
ago,
the
and they're
snake?
still so vivid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see the snake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Have they figured out what they painted with?
Yes, a lot of those colors came from plants, and there's a snake again, and other things, rocks, and dyes.
So I guess they put like a sealant
Mm-hmm.
over it.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
And it's also the arid
Heat.
weather.
Climate.
It doesn't, disintegrate.
Wow.
Now,
And also when it's closed off like this, then none of, it's been protected.
Mhm.
Yeah.
now what Nicole is saying over there, that's so true, because Egypt was considered to be such a wonderful land. Nile River
If you-
in the middle,
Oh,
right?
sorry.
Greenery both sides,
Mm-hmm.
and then the desert.
Yeah.
So you live off of the Nile River. You have some fresh water, fish, whatever you want. Beautiful green fields on both sides, fruit trees, farmland, everything, because the water table goes underneath,
Mm-hmm.
under the land. Perfect crops, harvest, the breadbasket of the world,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
And then there's a desert. It's like the water cuts off and then the desert. So you live in the green valley and you die in the desert.
Hmm.
And so you live here and really enjoy life, die in the desert, and you're preserved forever
Yeah.
until you rise up into a new life.
Wow.
And so it was considered to be the perfect place to live.
Yeah, they really thought it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had it figured out for
Yeah.
sure.
And that's why Lot, as somebody mentioned that in the Old Testament, when Abraham gave him the choice and said, hey, our shepherds are fighting, pick the land you want. He looked towards the land, towards the Dead Sea, which looked like, the Bible says, like Egypt, as is going towards Zoar, which is this land.
Yeah.
Beautiful and green, and he picked that land. Of course, it turned out to be Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
In time, God's judgment came, and it became the Dead Sea.
Gosh.
It became nothing but dirt and rocks. But what Nicole was pointing out here, what are you pointing out, Nicole?
Do you see? This is the ceiling.
Yeah.
Those are stars. That's the heavens.
Oh wow.
Oh,
These things have constellations. Just
The
a star,
constellations.
star.
Huh.
That's pretty
Everywhere.
cool.
They
So
painted
cool.
stars.
Wow.
The whole ceiling is full.
3,500 years BC.
That's unbelievable.
What's going on during that time?
That's the time of Moses in the wilderness with God's people. The cloud of fire, the pillar of fire.
This is what's happening back home.
Back in the desert.
Back in the desert. Well,
in the wilderness.
yeah.
Wow.
So this is it. I'm going crazy right now. Trying to figure out which way. By the way, I'm not even looking at the camera right now. I'm just like pointing everywhere because I just want to capture as much as possible. Nicole is using the gimbal to get the film footage. And we're going to go down there in a second and take some pictures down there as well. But there's Nicole over there.
Yeah, I was doing the gimbal there.
Look at that. Look at that. Some of these places are still being restored.
Wow.
I'm just going crazy. I just don't know what to do with myself. Look at that. Look at that. There.
Seriously, the stars. Wow.
Perfect shot. Left it right there for you
Yeah.
guys.
That's insane. Perfect.
Look at that. They drew the stars up there.
They really did.
Oh, is that-
3,500
so
years
that
ago.
God right there.
Uh-huh.
It's like that's like the epitome of what you see in hieroglyphics, like in all
Yeah.
the movies.
Guess what he's doing?
It looks like
Oh,
giving
you told me
life.
about this. You told me about this. He's giving life to the pharaoh.
That's right.
That's
In the
right.
afterlife, right? Like he's
In the
restoring
afterlife.
him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And what does that little thing represent?
It represents life.
But what is it really?
It's a person.
Yeah.
Oh.
With the head and the arms.
yeah.
Huh.
That represents life.
That's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Isn't that funny?
Wow.
So that's that. And here we are in another tomb now. I don't remember which one now, but I'm here talking away about something. And so anyways, doing the best I can to explain what I know about Egypt. Any thoughts, Nicole?
It's just, I mean, it's still unreal in my mind that I actually was standing there just a few days ago. I look at other people's pictures and videos and I'm like, I was actually standing there.
Yeah.
I actually saw this.
Yeah.
You know, what blows my mind is when we see pictures in textbooks or Discovery Channel or National Geographic or whatever, we just see a few things
Yeah.
until we go there and we are just,
You're inundated with it.
yeah, and you're like, there's so much.
Yeah.
It is
How
a
can
lot.
I wish it was just one room. Then I would have been like, okay, just got to master this room.
Yeah.
No, it goes on and on and on and on everywhere, all over the place, ceiling here, a tomb after tomb, temple after temple. It's like after a while, you just like stop looking.
That was how I felt in Israel. I can't imagine what it was like here, where it's like every single thing I look at is significant in some way.
This is my favorite.
Yeah.
We're on the cruise.
We're on the cruise on the Nile River.
Wow.
Now, y'all, I have to say that several times while we were on this cruise, it was hard for me to visualize this because you just can't. But the first plague that came to Egypt was that the Nile River turned to blood. And I cannot believe that I was on this river that at one point in history
Yeah.
was blood.
Became blood.
A lot of things happen around the Nile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But just look at that. By the way, that's a very good shot of what I was talking about earlier. Beautiful Nile,
Yep.
perfectly green. Now that's not as green as some of the other places we saw,
Yeah.
but then there's the desert.
Yeah.
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 How clear was the water?
In places pretty clear,
Yeah.
pretty clean, but then in places it was not that great.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, what is this,
wow.
Nicole?
Oh yeah. Look.
Oh, we're on the horse and I forget what they call it, but it was pretty much a horse and buggy ride.
They have rickshaws there.
Yes, they did. They called them Talk Talks.
Oh, okay.
I grew up with those, so I was like, oh,
instead
that
of
looks
auto
familiar.
rickshaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So you could only fit 2 people. So everybody had their own little horse and buggy, and we were going through the city.
Wow.
And here we actually went to a temple. I forgot the name of it, because so many temples we went to. That was built around the Ptolemaic period, if I'm not wrong. So not as old. Those were the Greek pharaohs.
That was like
after.
Cleopatra and her descendants, right?
Or
like the descendants
and her
like-
ancestors.
Yeah, ancestors. That's what I was looking
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
Wow.
Because after Cleopatra, I mean, there's nothing left.
Kinda,
Yeah.
You know, once Julius Caesar came. She committed suicide in Alexandria. That's the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
Rome
talk about
takes over.
Cleopatra and they act like she was so long ago, and it's like
No,
Like,
she was
no,
at the
she was
tail
the
end.
last one.
She was the tail end.
Because she
of
was
the-
like right before Jesus was born, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she was not even true Egyptian. The Greek pharaoh.
Yeah.
they say like she doesn't remember anything.
So, by the way, this is back on the Nile on one of the days. But as we were floating down, I just decided to sit back inside, not on top deck in our room.
This was the view from our room,
Yeah.
and you just have this huge picture window that you can you have the curtains and stuff.
And all of a sudden, I saw this, and the cruise ship kind of slowed down. I'm like, "What? What is this?" So I'm filming from my window.
Nice.
Do you know what those are?
Nope.
Egyptian
cool.
ruins.
It looks like houses,
Yeah, some ancient homes, houses.
but does it have anything to do with
Oh yeah.
Egypt?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I saw some things that represented like old temples and
Are
stuff.
those dogs?
These are cows.
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 And sometimes I would purposely film cows because in one of the plagues, the cattles.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I do that as
Could
well.
could that have been where the slaves lived?
Could be. Could be. But keep in mind, slaves, they were living towards Goshen side of things. Not always, not all of them, because they were dispersed all over the land at one point after Joseph. But then towards the end, back in, they were there.
This is inside another tomb or
Yeah.
another.
I just can't get over these hieroglyphics.
I
How
know.
Yeah,
detailed
no,
they
they're
are.
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
How many tap, 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 tap you had to do?
Yeah.
It's
And
interesting
they
that they
all
have
mean
some
something.
people sitting in chairs and others on their knees.
But I believe the ones that have the circle, those are the gods.
Yeah. The ones
That's
sitting
why
on the
they're
chairs
sitting.
are the gods.
Mm.
The ones bowing are the pharaohs.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So if you go back into that video again, so see the pharaoh is offering sacrifice
Offering
to the
stuff
gods.
to the
to
gods.
Osiris.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
So he's kneeling down there on the
There you
chair. I
That's
see.
Yeah.
right.
I see.
That's right. That's the god Osiris.
Because
Mhm.
when you see that
That circle.
signifies that they are a
Yeah.
god.
I
Wow.
see.
And that second thread right there, you know, the lion face. So much I don't know. So much I don't understand.
So do the different helmets on or the hats that the pharaohs wear, does that mean anything?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Lower Egypt, Upper Egypt,
Mm.
combined Egypt, the warrior hat. I mean, there's so so many
Yeah.
different
Mm.
crowns that they had.
Mhm.
What's lower?
Lower Egypt is actually northern Egypt, and Upper Egypt is actually southern Egypt.
Because it was literally elevation, right?
No,
Something like that.
It's going in
Or the direction, of the Nile. Yeah.
yeah, because the water is
Oh.
coming from up, from the bottom up.
South.
So
to
were there
north.
two different pharaohs at all times?
At times, there were two different pharaohs.
But not all the time.
Not all
Now,
the time.
and hence they overlap. That's why Egyptologists who try to string them one after the other are making a big mistake because
Because there's
Because
Some
overlap.
of them
sometimes they're at the same
simultaneous.
time.
right.
Oh.
And then there were also pharaohs in training versus the pharaoh, maybe the son, and then the father.
Because they would co-rule, or they
Co-rule.
would be like, or the son would be the regent,
Right.
and then the dad is the pharaoh, but they were co-ruling.
And so when
So where was Moses?
yeah, he did that too.
Was he lower?
He was no, they were combined.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they weren't split yet.
No. They were split at one time, then combined, especially under
Oh,
Joseph. Remember
okay.
Joseph?
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, you know what Joseph did?
Mm-hmm.
By selling the grain, he got people to sell the land to the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh owned all the land.
So he
It's in the
unified it.
Bible.
Yeah.
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 So they split because of
United all
disagreements, or this?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Gotcha.
And then there were wars, and they split, and then Queen Hatshepsut and others brought them back together.
Mhm.
And I believe it was Moses who helped
Wow.
unify it.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
So that's that. Oh, what do we have here,
Oh
Nicole?
Lord! Oh,
What do we have here?
this was my
Camel ride.
least favorite.
You didn't like it?
Really?
This, there was something that was different with my saddle compared to everybody else's, or something. I don't know, but it made it really hard.
Isn't that a cool
You
scene?
look
Oh,
good.
yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Those camels don't move very fast.
Wow.
Nicole is going away.
I'm out of here.
There I
My
go.
camel
Bye-bye.
doesn't want to move. I don't know why.
Were they bigger than the ones in Israel or same size?
Same size. Same size.
That's awesome.
So
Standard issue camel.
Yeah.
Standard issue. Camel.
It's a standard model.
That's cool.
there's a Nubian kid who was filming me. He would run up ahead, and then he would stop and film. But man, he did an amazing job.
did.
I gave him a
Yeah.
$20 tip. I was like,
Yeah, look at the shot he's
Look at
getting.
that.
Look at that.
So good.
Wow.
Kid's got a good eye.
Yeah.
He's zooming in and
There you go.
everything.
Yeah, look at that.
I'm
He's
like,
let me
kid,
get this. Let me get the
film
frame
me,
right.
kid,
Gotta
film
make sure
me.
it's scaled.
That's too cool.
That really is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, blood, don't walk. Why you
In
gonna
front
walk
of the
right through the shot?
he's filming for somebody else.
Yeah.
That's really cool. How comfortable was it sitting on a camel?
I'm not comfortable.
You didn't like it.
No.
I mean, it was fun,
Yeah.
but it's. I
It
need
was
to
an
get used to that.
experience. It was
Yeah.
an experience.
Imagine
and
traveling
that's
through the desert on a camel.
right.
If I knew, I could adjust and get ready. But then again, I was doing like filming with one
Yeah.
hand,
Yeah.
and the other hand
Commentating
hanging
Now-
on.
They're hanging
Now
on.
compared to like in Israel, you know that you
Yeah.
could stop and you would do a circle.
Uh-huh.
This was a long.
We went
Long
up the
ride.
hill, down the hill.
45 minutes
Well, on the camel. Wow.
on the camel.
That's cool.
45 minutes.
Wow.
This here is one that I think this is Queen Nefertiti's
I think.
tomb. Nicole, you want to talk about the colors and all of that?
Oh my goodness.
So vivid.
It's so unreal. I mean,
I
I look
know.
at it again and I'm like, this is unreal.
How little of it is faded.
right?
There
What
is-
is?
I
What are
mean-
the
Lost.
wings? What do the wings signify?
I mean, it's the gods,
The gods.
and goddesses. You know, it's just their powers
That
and
cat.
Wow.
Look
Yeah,
at the snakes.
Yep.
And snakes, yes.
snakes are everywhere.
Snakes.
Are cats
Candles.
worshipped there? Because I know they talked about. I mean, I don't know if
Cats are
that's
not
a-
liked,
I was going to say, I
Really?
think they didn't like cats, right?
right?
I'm only taking that from the mummy that he was scared of cats.
Yeah,
that was
they
his
don't like
weakness.
cats. And I don't know much about. By the way, the really delicate figure right there, white. That's Nefertiti.
Wow.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I don't understand much about all the myths and mythologies.
I don't either.
I thought they had something to do with the gods, but it had to do with it was related to death in some way.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
They were. Again, this is not from study. This is just from Hollywood. But it was some. I know in the Mummy, the cats were like the guardians of the underworld or something.
Yeah,
so
something like
they were.
that.
He was
Could be.
super scared of them.
Could be.
Could be.
I don't know. Brendan Fraser just took the cat around and he was safe.
I do know
Yeah.
though that there
Yeah.
was some tomb or somewhere that they were saying that they had found mummified cats,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
By the way,
what it was
that
for.
right there is Nefertiti,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wow.
look how pretty she is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
See that?
Yeah.
The colors.
How do you know the difference between women and men with the carvings? Did they make them look like women?
Yes, and most of the time, the men. Now there's not really an actual beard. It was an actual. It
Like
was
the
like a
false beard
piece
thing.
that was put on
Mm.
that they would wear, and it showed like their power.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, wisdom, whatever.
Yeah.
The only woman who wore that was guess who? Queen.
Hatshepsut. Is
Yeah, a good way to remember that is hat, cheap suit.
Hat cheap suit.
That's what our guide said.
Hat cheap suit.
Hatshepsut.
Oh.
Huh.
There you have it.
Wow.
But that's not Hatshepsut.
But so they put a little beard on her.
She had a beard on her. She had a beard on like that
to
look,
be.
to say that I am the king.
the authority. Wow.
Oh, okay.
Keep in
Yeah.
mind, she was raising one. He's gone.
So,
So
now
she had
steps
to-
in.
She
She's
was
like
the
asserting
one-
herself,
She was,
so to
she was
speak.
the one with the power.
She had
Yeah.
to take the power and do what she had to do because she didn't have a male heir.
Yeah.
And then raised this kid who, in time, I guess, took over.
Mm-hmm.
But
Probably
he
to-
was.
To
Huh?
demand respect.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
Oh,
demand
yeah. Oh,
respect.
yeah.
Yeah.
She had to. See, now you can tell she's a female.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm just like wandering through there. That's again.
Wow.
Just
Yeah.
Wow.
They did like different scenes of their life right on the
Yeah.
walls.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
beautiful.
I mean, just amazingly beautiful.
It's all those blank
places
patches.
Where, I was gonna say the patches.
Yeah, is that where thieves have come over the years? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Look at that. The
Aw.
god is taking
Taking
her
her
by
hand.
hand
Yeah.
to the next life.
Wow.
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 Very cool. Now, why isn't he feeding her life?
I guess there's different ways of doing that. Different ways of doing that. So.
And there may have been another scene somewhere where he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
feeding, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, we're almost done here. Now we are going down into this is where this is where the tomb builders' graves were.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow.
So you had people who worked in the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Queens, who built these tombs. Their tombs were not as elaborate. They were not as elaborate as the Pharaoh's tombs
Right.
or temples. But what did we know about through these tombs, Nicole? What did we learn? Everyday life.
Yeah.
You won't learn about everyday life from the Pharaoh's tombs.
No.
Right.
Mm.
That makes
The
sense.
common
sense.
people had their.
Common people,
Yeah.
Had
Yeah.
everyday life.
everyday life.
Like
Yeah.
whatever was happening.
Wow.
And not just the tomb builders, but also the nobles.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you go to their tombs, that's when you know what life was like. So I filmed it elsewhere. We don't have time to look at all the videos where you see them hunting, where you see them playing with their kids, when you see them hanging out. And they hang out just like we do, like two girls with their arms around each other.
Wow.
And there's one image where these two girls are sitting together, and the arm is like this, and the other one is holding on to her arm like this.
Wow.
Comes around
Wow.
her.
Wow.
And it's
So
like
cool.
just like you would sit today
Mhm.
with a
Yeah.
best friend.
Yeah. Here, I'll put it right here in the video in post.
Yeah.
You guys can see it.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
So this is the tombs of the tomb builders. And guess what? The reason why the colors are so intact, because nobody broke in here to steal.
There wasn't, there
People
wasn't
weren't
like
as
all the
concerned with
gold
this.
and all
Yeah.
the stuff to
Wow.
steal. It
Yeah.
was,
Wow.
Wow.
but I mean,
But can you tell the quality is a little
Yeah.
lower?
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I'd say like even the drawings are a little.
A little
They're
more
not quite as
crude.
good.
Yeah.
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 Who is this, Nicole? King Tut's.
Oh, that's right. That's his statue.
Yeah, King Tut's statue. This was found inside his. So this is a statue made of him with that gold cover that was put inside his tomb.
Wow.
And it was recovered.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Those are his, gold sandals, whatever.
Wow.
And
By
that's,
the way-
that's all overlaid in whatever is gold. It's overlaid in gold.
Mhm.
Mm.
By the way, we also have his. I mean, right down to his underwear
Wow.
was found in the tombs.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Were
That
they
is
gold
crazy.
too?
Huh?
So were they gold too?
No. They were just linen. They're just linen.
Wow.
Just linen, and I mean everything, and those linen still are linen.
Wow.
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 Unbelievable. This is inside the Egyptian museum. There are several museums, two museums in Egypt. One is the Museum of National of Egyptian Civilization that was just built a few years ago, and of course the Cairo Museum. This is the Cairo Museum. This is about 100 years old. Look how beautiful it is.
Wow.
Wow.
You
How
walk
massive.
you walk in to the front, and then it's not far. You don't have to take too many steps, and then you see this. This is actually looking at it from the second floor. These statues, but if you come in on the first
Oh,
floor,
I can
they're
imagine.
huge.
They're
Yeah,
huge.
wow.
So who did they have at the front?
That's Ramses the Great.
Mm.
And his wife.
Now, some people believe that was Amenhotep II or something like that. I'm not quite sure. Some places I just lost track. I'm like, I just keep talking. I'm listening.
Yeah.
One day I'll figure all this out. Where is this, Nicole?
Oh my goodness! This is that amphitheater. Was it in
Alexandria.
Alexandria? I was about to say Aswan. I'm telling you what, the days ran together.
I'll put some lower
Nicole was
thirds on
there.
for you.
Nicole was there.
She was
I promise
filming.
She was there.
I was there.
That's beautiful.
This
It
is
is beautiful. It's very green.
this is going back to the Roman period. This is going back to the time of Jesus.
Mm.
Or maybe around that time period. But why is this significant? It's a great place, I guess, to end. This may be our last video. No, I got one more here. Why would that be important? Guess who came from this town?
What time was it?
Alexandria.
Alexander.
No, Alexander founded.
I just got him on the brain
He
still.
founded Alexandria. He has no idea how much I looked for Alexander the Great for him. You have no idea. I went all over Alexander looking for something from Alexander the Great for you, but couldn't get it. Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
But anyways,
I'm trying to think who came from
you have no
Alexandria.
idea. You have no clue how many stops we made, and there was nothing of Alexander.
I couldn't begin to imagine.
Souvenir. But a man who was mighty in scripture, who was very eloquent, he was a great preacher. And they even tried to compare him to Paul.
Apollos?
Thank you.
Wow.
He came from there.
Wow.
And down there, we have some other videos. There were classrooms where they were taught.
Wow. Apollos taught there.
No, he was
He was from there.
He was from there. So more than
Gotcha.
likely he went to those classrooms and learned.
Wow.
Oh,
That is
wow.
so cool.
That's
Oh wow.
And what I thought was really neat is, and maybe I don't know if we filmed that specific thing, but when you went down
into the amphitheater.
into the amphitheater, there was a spot, and it was literally there was a circle in the ground, and if you stood there and you spoke, it was like perfect.
so loud.
Real. Wow.
You could
Yeah.
hear. I mean, it was like you were speaking into a microphone,
Wow.
Huh.
It was a microphone.
Wow.
It was a microphone.
but a
I was
natural
blown away.
microphone.
Wow.
So
Unbelievable.
when you step away and speak, it's okay. You step onto that one spot and you speak. Everybody did that. Oh my goodness.
That's pretty cool.
That's
That's
insane.
That's
I would
so
love
cool.
to hear that one day.
And
Gosh.
of course, this was the last one. Everybody's heard of the library in Alexandria,
Mhm.
Egypt, the famous library, one of the seven wonders of the world. No, maybe not. But anyways, this is the library of Alexandria, and we were able to get special access to go there because the director of the library came and talked to us, and we got to meet him. And this is what it is.
Wow.
Wow.
Man.
A
Unbelievable.
lot of ancient documents are there. I saw a good Corinthians papyri.
That's
Took
There's
some
cool.
what
pictures.
eight
Wow.
floors?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Unbelievable. 8
Wow.
floors.
I'm not sure how many floors, but
They were
It's
talking about the
huge.
levels. They were talking
Levels,
about the
yeah.
levels,
Yeah.
and I think there was like at least 7 or 8
I'm
levels. I
not
can't
quite sure.
remember how many they
That's
said.
insane.
Wow.
I mean, it's massive.
yeah. And even those skylights are not just skylights.
Uh-huh.
Remember what they said about them, Nicole?
I don't.
They're like eyelids or like eyelashes. They're set in such a way that the light comes in without blinding you
Uh-huh.
or shining down on one specific spot.
Uh-huh.
It just illuminates the place without, like,
Direct, harsh
Wow.
sunlight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
so they're just laid
It
out
like diffuses
just,
the light.
Huh?
It like diffuses the
Right.
light. That's pretty
Wow.
cool.
it done just right.
Wow.
So I thought
Even
that
their
was
libraries
amazing.
are
Yeah, I guess so, because
beautiful.
people in there
Yeah, that's
studying for hours
incredible.
on end, they would
Yeah.
have had to
Yeah.
think through that. Wow.
Yeah. But to know that the old library that was destroyed by the Saracens, 600 Saracens were Arab Muslim
Mhm.
conquerors who came to Alexandria, destroyed the library. It had about 700,000 volumes.
Wow.
Wow.
And can you imagine all the information existing today?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Mm.
Are there colleges in Alexandria?
Oh, yeah. The University of Alexandria is right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like from here to the front door.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
Unbelievable.
So very prestigious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Wow.
imagine.
Yeah.
So we can go on and on. I mean,
Yeah.
we have a couple more hours. We can keep talking, but this is Egypt.
Wow. That's
Wow.
insane.
Incredible.
That
This
so
is
cool.
just little snippets of Egypt.
Unbelievable. I mean, just watching this, I feel like I was there, and I can't imagine what it's like
Yeah.
for the two of you.
Yeah.
What, I guess, to leave our listeners and our viewers with, what is one way that Egypt has impacted you?
I would say, and then maybe Nicole can share her part. Something positive and something negative. I guess both of us felt a positive, negative. Well, how about you, Nicole? What did you feel?
There's, it's a positive and a negative. There was just so much information that's positive, but there's also a negative to that because it was just so much. I feel like I don't know how much has sunk in yet. You know what I'm saying? There was so much information, and I feel like that's a positive to have that information, but it's also a negative when you feel like it's not all sinking in. For me.
For me, it was positive in the sense I learned so much. Just like Nicole said, there's so much information that still hasn't sunk in, but it was filling in so many gaps that I had. And I'm constantly reading on Egypt, and I began some serious study about 6-7 years ago on Egyptian history and Bible, and still felt like I was so inadequate, and I still am. But I mean, it really rose. I'm nowhere near 100%, maybe 25% now.
Wow.
That previously I was probably 6 or 7. Negatively, I would say it brought me face to face with the anti-God world after the flood. This was a civilization that said, we're going to do this, and we don't need God. If you read the Genesis account, there's a serpent that came to tempt Eve, Satan, and to walk through the temples, the tombs, everywhere, and to see the snake.
And people who chose that. People who chose the snake.
The protector was the snake.
I mean, there was the snake. A lot of times, the Pharaoh, if you noticed on the hieroglyphs, there was the snake on the mitre. It was like the front. I mean, just everywhere.
Yeah, and if you pay careful attention to everything, even the way the Pharaoh looks, this is not just what is that? That's a cobra, wide open, ready to strike. So even the way they had the headdress laid out, that's the head of the cobra.
Wow, makes sense.
They were making themselves look like
The snake,
the serpent. So that was in your face. Like this is like when we hear about a Satan is this and Satan is that, another anti-Christian Bible, something like that, and what was that, anti-Christ or anti, kind of like upside down.
Oh yeah, all that.
Like
I don't know what their name is, but that,
the
that
upside down cross,
Satanism
all that kind of stuff.
This was like in your face,
Wow.
everywhere, and you're just blown away. You go, wow. So as much as you're admiring it, you still walk away going, this is completely contrary to what the Bible said.
Yeah, there's like this awe, but there's like a hollowness to it almost.
You gave a
And
sermon.
evil.
That, you gave a sermon a couple of years ago about how civilizations that participate in child abortions, including like child sacrifices and stuff like that, they're wiped out because it's so against what the Bible says. And that is just a picture of what they did. I mean, it's in the Bible there.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out to me, and maybe Nicole can also chime in on that, is it's not like they were terrible people. I mean, you see the Pharaoh and his wife kind of hand in hand and, stuff like that. It's like, when you look at it, you go, wow, this is a beautiful world. This is wonderful. But behind it all, it's a world that said to God, we don't need you. We're going to have a great life, but without you. We'll do it our way. And that was very sad to see. And that's what we're doing in our own way in America today. In our nation today. So it's that was the negative part.
Wow. That's, I mean, just thinking about the similarities in ancient civilizations to what we see today. It's unbelievable. Thank you both so much for sharing with us. And those of you who are listening, make sure that you guys check out Dr. Shah's sermon. It's coming up very soon. At the time of this recording, I think it'll be available by the time you guys have access to the podcast. Make sure you check out the sermon on this as well. You're not going to want to miss that.
And we'll link to this sermon in this. Even if it comes out after, we'll go back and we'll link to the sermon so you can go, because the sermon this coming Sunday is going to link directly to this, what we're talking about.
So check out the description box for that link. If it's not there, it should be there shortly. Thank you guys so much. Send us an email with any questions. If you have any questions for Dr. Shah or Nicole, we'll pass that email along to them. Send us an email with questions you have about Egypt to carpemanana@clearviewbc.org. We'll see you guys next time.